Jury selection will continue today in the trial for a man accused of shooting and killing two people inside a Roosters restaurant. It is the second trial attempt for Carson Wrights. He's accused of shooting Mike Miller and Bradley Cross at the Roosters on Preston Highway 2 days before Christmas in 2021. Prosecutors say surveillance video shows Wrights shoot the men inside the packed restaurant. Wrights was first tried in 2023, but the judge declared a mistrial after opening statements.
The man is now facing charges in connection to a shooting from nearly 7 months ago, which left 2 people injured. One of those was an 8-year-old boy. According to court documents, 20-year-old Justice Greer fired shots at Gregory Jackson. Now, Jackson was hit in his hand. The 8-year-old was hit in his thigh, which caused life-threatening injuries. This happened back in May on Kingston Avenue, which is in South Louisville. Greer was arrested last week and charged with assault and wanton endangerment. His bond is set for $250,000 cash. He's expected in court next Monday.
Public safety is the big part of it here. You know, we want our neighborhood to thrive. We want our neighborhood to be, more recognizable.
Folks living in Old Louisville are trying to end what they say is a traffic safety threat in their community. A newly proposed ordinance would restrict vehicles like semis from driving on residential streets except when making deliveries.
WHAS11 obtained a report from a resident showing close to 150 heavy trucks using St. Catherine Street every day. WHAS11's Gabriel Gonzalez discovered the problems these trucks cause for the neighborhood.
Semis overcoming streets and people experiencing constant street noise on St. Catherine, Kentucky, and St. James streets in the Limerick neighborhood.
A lot of times when they come down this curve, they'll cross the line. A long-time problem that hopefully is coming to a conclusion.
It's what Limerick Neighborhood Association President Derek Pedalski is trying to change.
The number one problem that people wanted addressed in our survey was the heavy truck traffic on Oak Street in St. Catherine.
These are pictures sent to us from a woman who lives on St. Catherine Street. She says she spent hundreds of dollars replacing damaged mirrors on her car caused by large passing trucks. The proposed ordinance would not allow trucks over 21,000 pounds on St. Catherine and Kentucky streets unless those trucks are doing deliveries. I asked the Neighborhood Association president what type of damage those trucks are doing to these residential streets.
There's definitely some danger to walkability, to anybody who might have a disability, to homes' foundations, noise that comes from these trucks hitting their brakes.
Derek says community well-being is more important than convenience for truck drivers.
These homes aren't cheap, and the last thing you want to see is a truck that impacts your foundation by rolling around 142 times a week.
In Louisville, Gabriel Gonzalez, WHAS 11, on your side.
Tonight is the committee hearing where the neighborhood president hopes the proposed ordinance will move forward to the full council. He's hoping it'll be passed by the end of the year.
A major scenic route in Indiana that takes people right to the riverfront is back open. The town of Clarksville has been working on an enhancement project for Riverside Drive since the beginning of this year, and that work included rebuilding and widening the street, adding bike and walking paths along the Ohio River Greenway, and adding new safety measures like streetlights. The road is back open, yes, but some of the barriers do remain up, and the road closed signs have been removed, but some local business owners believe those barriers that are left behind will deter people from actually traveling on the street.
I know that I can go around those barriers, and I know that the road closed signs are off of them, but there are some people that are still deterred from that.
We saw that, actually. Reporter Clarice Shaley saw that happen as she was putting this story together. Now, the city says the Riverside Drive enhancement project is on a winter break. Construction is expected to pick back up in the spring of 2025, finishing the remaining elements like the final top layer of asphalt, road striping, and additional paintings.
All right, so this downtown parking lot that you see on your screen just east of Slugger Field is set to be transformed by a new $250 million investment. Yesterday, Mayor Craig Greenberg unveiled renderings of what's being called the future Louisville Sports Entertainment District. The entire complex will be built between Main Street and I-65, adding apartments, restaurants, and retail shops. The proposal is a joint project between sports advisory firm The Machete Group and Louisville Bats owner Diamond Baseball Holdings. The group says the complex is part of its vision for the future of the ballpark.
We set out to elevate minor league baseball across the country. From the fan experience to the player experience, that was our core vision, but it was to also create centers of energy around the ballparks that we operate in.
Mayor Greenberg says the project is still in its early stages, so specific details aren't finalized. Tomorrow, the proposal will be presented to the Waterfront Development Board.
The Louisville men's basketball team is going to take on the University of Mississippi tonight. Ole Miss is happening at the KFC Yum Center. They're going to do it one player short. Star forward Kason Pryor is now out for the rest of the season due to an injury. Now, we're going to have more on that specific injury a bit later in sports, but I'll tell you, tonight's tip-off is at 9 o'clock.
And tonight, the UK Wildcats are taking on the Clemson Tigers in their first true road test of the season. The Tigers are hosting the Cats at Little John Coliseum in South Carolina. They'll hit the court tonight at 9:30.